what is the process for qualifying residents for JWB homes that you oversee?
So, of course, first and foremost, anytime a prospective resident calls in inquiring about a property, we go over what we tell them are pre-qualification questions. So these are, the prerequisites of what we're going to look for our owners in order to continue to move forward with them. So we can initially, even on the front end, schedule them a showing, right? We don't want to waste their time or our time and getting them into a property that they're going to fall in love with just to find out, hey, we're not going to be a good fit for whatever reason. So the agents, each and every one of them, go over, first and foremost, what they're looking for. What do you need to make sure that we have what they're needing in our inventory? When are you looking to be moved in by? Obviously, we can hold and reserve a home for 30 days. We're looking for people that are looking to move within the next month. So if you're looking to move a few months down the road or even next year, which we've seen people that are extremely proactive, wanting to look well in advance, we're just not going to be a good fit at the time because we're looking for people that are looking to move now. We ask how many adults, how many minors are going to be living in the household. We specialize in long-term leases. So one of the biggest things that we tell them up front is if you're looking for long-term, we've got a 3-year lease term for you. So we're offering them that 3-year lease term first and foremost to see if that's something that they're comfortable with. Are you looking to stay in a home with yourself and your family for a long-term investment? Like this is going to be home for you. A lot of people don't like jumping from home to home. They don't like packing and unpacking and packing again. So we go over that. So we ask them, are you bringing any pets with you in the move? Obviously, our insurance company has breed restrictions. So we want to make sure that they're not bringing, a potential animal that we don't have coverage. We go over gross monthly income. We require them to meet 3 times the monthly rent amount for every property. And we also let them know that if they go and they view a home and they want to move forward with it, our security deposit is the same as the first month's rent. That would have to be placed full amount in order to reserve that property and take it off the market. So we want that buy-in. Is this something that you're ready to do? Is this something that you're prepared to place today if you go and view it and you love it? And then we also go over, of course, the big one, the background check and credit report. So we're not like other rental companies. We don't look for a specific credit score. It's not something that we initially are going to look at for a qualifying factor. However, it is going to score them as a household combined for the overall health of their credit. There are going to be certain disqualifying factors, like on their background, we look for evictions and felonies within the past 4 years. Some felonies within the past 10 years, they're going to be the more extremes. The violent felonies, fraud, things like that, anything that's sexual in nature or having to do with children or murder even, absolutely not. That's going to be an automatic disqualifier across the board, regardless of the time frame, right? Credit, automatic disqualifiers if you have an open balance with a landlord. That's something that we look for within the past 4 years. If you have a foreclosure, a pass-through mortgage, an open utility debt, which has proven, data proven directly in relation to rentals, unfortunately, we're not going to be a good fit. So those are the biggest qualifications that we go over, with each and every applicant to make sure that not only are they going to be a good fit for us, but we're going to be a good fit for them.
Got it. So I took a couple notes here. So it sounds like the pre-qualification is timeline of how move-in ready they are, right? That seems like a good thing. If I'm investing in a home, I want somebody to come in real quick. The stay time, how long they're going to stay, right? You're promoting these 3-year leases right off the bat. And I want to dig into that a second. The pets, right? Making sure that they have the right pets, or if they have a pet, that it's insurable, their income. Then you go into background check and credit report. And you mentioned kind of like credit is, one thing to look at, but you have some pretty specific indicators in background check of what makes a good resident and what doesn't make a good resident. I'd love to kind of dig in on the stay time, right? The 3-year leases. I know that Greg and I talk a lot about how important the 3-year lease is, and also how difficult it is to get a 3-year lease, right? Like the idea that your ROI is greatly predicated as an investor over by how little the property turns. And most property management companies are incentivized to only sign 1-year leases because they make most money on the turn, but JWB does it the other way around because they make money when they sell a home. So if you could give us just from the front lines, like you mentioned some stuff that is real, right? Like I know that moving is probably one of the worst things in the world, so it makes sense that I want to be there for a while. But convincing residents that it's in their best interest to have a 3-year lease, 2-year lease. Can you talk us kind of like the experience from your end and what the resident experience is from that? Is that a tough conversation?
Actually, it's a very easy conversation, much easier than what you would think it would be. So we are renting out single family homes. This isn't just another apartment complex where people are coming and going consistently. So some of the conversations that our agents are having, if they mention the 3-year lease term on the front end as the first option, of course, you've got people that are relocating that may or may not be comfortable with the areas. They don't know Jacksonville that well. And sometimes they want a shorter lease term to kind of get their feet wet and figure out where they want to be. So we let them know, hey, we completely understand that if a 3-year lease term is not something that you're comfortable with, we do have a 2-year lease term option. However, we specialize in long-term leases, whereas a lot of other companies don't. We let them know that, so many people are moving to Jacksonville right now. The market is crazy. And the average place that you go and rent at, every time you renew your lease, that rent amount goes up. And every place is different for how much that amount will go up with. So for ours, depending on the rental price of the home, it can go up $50. It could go up $75. It can go up $100. So to incentivize them, we kind of tell them about, here's the difference between the 2 and the 3-year lease term. If you are doing the 2-year lease term, say a home is renting at $1,000. So your first year monthly rent is going to be $1,000. Your second year, it will go up $50. So the next year it's going to be $1,050. But if you do the 3-year lease term, it's the same thing. Your rent amount will increase your second year, but it's going to lock that amount in, and it's going to save you $600 your third year to lock it in so it doesn't change. So that gives you peace of mind that, hey, my rent's not going to change again the third year, and it's not going to go up another $50 to $1,100, whereas I may or may not feel comfortable paying that. And it kind of gives them that, oh, okay, I like that. No other place is going to give that.
Yeah, that makes sense. As a renter myself, and having come from Miami, I know that I would always dread that like renewal conversation, because I would always feel like they're gonna try to just squeeze me as much as possible year to year, and having that like long-term process already set in place would totally, from a quality of life standpoint, right? To think, all right, I'm gonna be here for 3 years. I don't need to think about moving because somebody's gonna jack my rent up $400 for the next month because the market's going bananas like right now. And then on the other side, I think about everything that Greg speaks about a lot, of the idea that as a investor, which I am now, right? Like it is better for me to, and I always thought of this as a resident, but like I would always tell whatever building I was renting at, I'm like, hey man, do you really want to jack me up $200 for, like, it's going to make you an extra $2,000, but if I leave and I move out, you're going to lose $3,000 in turn fees, right? Like it makes a ton of sense as best practices.
Yeah. So our team, leasing and property management, both collaborate together. We want to keep a resident in the property for as long as we can, which will not only benefit the resident in itself, but it also does benefit the client. It does keep them from going through a property turn. It keeps them from having to pay another resident placement fee. It helps them tremendously. All those fees that they're accruing every day that home sits on market, it's beneficial to keep a resident in the home. So property management, even in itself and their goals, are going to do everything that they can to get that renewal that they need for the company and the client.
Yeah, total win-win. Totally what
Absolutely
JWD stands for.